Welcome into the Alabama Football Report. I am Tom Downey, and we'll be at the Combine this upcoming week. If you would like us to post some of the Alabama Crimson Tide, I guess now former player interviews from the Combine, let us know. We'll only do it if it's something you guys really want. If that is content you would enjoy to see those player interviews, the press conferences at the Combine, type me in the comment section right now. Let's move to some Alabama football news, then recruiting updates, since, it's kind of a lull in the season here. Alabama has hired a new linebackers coach, Robert Bala, coming over from Liberty after the Crimson had hired Austin Armstrong. He was there for about 8 days, give or take, and then takes the Florida defensive coordinator job, so it was a quick in, quick out, got to go hire a new coach. And Nick Saban and company have landed on Robert Bala, who was at Liberty. Now, he was promoted to the linebackers coach job at Liberty this year. So he's it's the trickle-down effect, right? You go hire somebody else, they hire somebody else, and a guy who had been an analyst last year for the Flames under now Auburn head coach Hugh Freeze had become their linebackers coach, does have defensive coordinator experience. Oh, by the way, he was the Southern Utah defensive coordinator. Special teams, cornerbacks coach as well. So relatively quick rise here for Robert Bala and a fairly decent jump for this Liberty job. But he clearly impressed Saban. He also drew good reviews from the other insiders, at least reported good reviews, I should say, from the other insiders out there with his interview process with the Hugh Freeze standpoint. Maybe potential benefit of having some semblance of some good inside info as to what Freeze will be running at Auburn, although, Nick Saban knows Hugh Freeze. He knows what that offense looks like, so that's not that impactful there. Bala is younger, and for the most part, the trend this year, namely Tommy Rees's hire, less so Kevin Steele, has been Nick Saban's going with the younger coaches, younger assistants, and fewer of the recently fired bigger names who are trying to rehab their stock and leave. But there's a decent mix of both. I think that's impactful there. In the end, I'm always going to trust what Nick Saban does when it comes to his coaching staff. A lot more hits than misses in terms of his history at Alabama. So with that in mind, today's pinned comment is a chance to grade the hire of Robert Bala, A, B, C, D, or F. It is the pinned comment on today's video, so if by chance an ad break happens to come here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there, A, B, C, D, or F. Kai Bates is next up here. That is the newest offer for the Crimson Tide. He picked up the offer February 23rd, so a few days ago. Now, I'm a big believer that when a big-name program like Alabama, for example, makes an offer to a 3-star recruit, that means he's not really a 3-star. And when we check in 3 months from now, 5 months from now, 8 months from now, whatever, I bet Kai Bates will be much higher ranked than what he is right now. Number 579 overall, by the way, all per the 24/7 Sports composite rankings because that's the industry standard. The number 77 athlete, wide receiver / defensive back, by the way. Number 88 in the state of Florida. Some other notable offers for Kai Bates: Kentucky, South Carolina, Maryland, Miami, Pitt. Several of those are bigger name programs that typically recruit pretty well. SEC, Miami. Again, Alabama adding an offer there makes me suspect that Kai Bates is going to be a riser as we go through the whole senior year when it comes to recruiting. So keep an eye on that name as maybe in the sleeper category. Air Noland, let's talk about him. I'll make this note right now off the top because I'm a big believer in what I call the name theory. If you have a cool name, you're probably going to be a good football player. So Prentice Air Noland, that's a Heisman winner. There's no way around it, right? He is going to visit Alabama April 3rd to the 4th. He picked up an offer on January 28th. He is a lefty, by the way, and I can think of one Alabama lefty QB that worked out pretty well. Keeping in mind the April 3rd through 4th visit, there are 6 others Noland is going on. Clemson, Arkansas, basically, the 10th to the 14th, those 2 dates, kind of grouping them up, right? Miami, Texas A&M, Ohio State, and as well. Purdue kind of in the back end there. Pretty good list of schools to go visit, right? Clemson, Miami, Ohio State. We'll also pull up his high school stats here. It's high school. I love high school because it's just ridiculous. 55 touchdowns, 4 interceptions for 4,000 yards, and 73.1% completion rate. That is absolutely obscene production, even if it is high school and differing levels of competition. I get all of that. As it sits right now on the 24/7 Sports composite rankings, Noland's a 4-star, number 120 overall, the number 11 overall quarterback, and the 20th best recruit from Georgia. Now, what's interesting here, even though schools will always recruit multiple quarterbacks each cycle, Bama does have a commitment already, guy we talked about in the past. Julian Sayin, the 5-star, I think top 15 or top 25, on top of my head which one he is in there. But Sayin is another commitment for Alabama, so nothing wrong with exploring Noland. Despite the elite name, I would wonder if because of the presence of Julian Sayin, if he takes a different path. It's not that common. You see a team land, let's just say, 2 top 15 quarterbacks in a cycle. They typically spread themselves out because easier path to playing time, and certainly who can blame them. So, good name to monitor. Not sure that's going to be the most likely path that Noland ends up in Bama, but I do want to make note of the upcoming visit. That late March, early April period, going to be a lot of recruits coming to Tuscaloosa. All right, what is your confidence level in Alabama's recruiting just overall? Nick Saban in the group. They've mostly been number one, the occasional year where that's not the case. How confident are you in what the Crimson Tide can do? Scale it from 1 to 10. 1, of course, on the low end, 10 on the high end. One more story on Ellis Robinson, the 5-star cornerback who is committed to Georgia, but a nice little article on On3 explained how Alabama has not yet stopped recruiting him. Now, Robinson, who committed to Georgia at the beginning of February, is going to take his 5 official visits. And I'll make note immediately, by the way, On3 says there's no indication he's considering a flip. He's locked in, but we have a long way to go until the early signing period next December. The 5 visits Robinson says he will take, the final 5 on his list: Georgia, Colorado, Alabama, LSU, and Miami. Now, given the recent history of Deion Sanders flipping the number 1 cornerback recruit, which is what Robinson is, probably a decent name to at least monitor when it comes to flips, because Deion Sanders will try, Alabama will try as well. The early commitment is always nice for the team, but it can lead to some more negative flip-based recruiting that has decent turnover success rate. So Robinson probably going to go to Georgia, but it's only a commitment. It's not an actual signing of letter of intent. Flipping Robinson would be significant. Right now, Georgia has the number 1 class, super early, by the way. He's 5-star, number 6 overall, number 1 corner. You go to Georgia, Alabama, you're probably going to have good NFL success there. It will likely end up being Georgia versus Alabama, again, for the number 1 recruiting class, unless Jimbo Fisher buys a class again. Who finishes number 1 when it's all said and done for 2024? Make those way too early predictions. G for Georgia, A for Alabama.